Good evening and welcome to the April 15th, 2021 meeting of the Mount Juliet Municipal and Regional Planning Commission meeting. I got to say, it's exciting to see people in the crowd and in attendance tonight. I would say that this is our first one in a year, probably, that we've had this many people present for our meeting. So that's it's exciting to be returning to a world of somewhat normalcy and the adjustments that people have had to go through and the adjustments that all of us are having to go through over this last year. As we get started, we still are amongst our COVID-19. And so as such, I'd like to start our meeting just by reminding folks that due to the COVID-19, social distance guidelines will be followed. You are required to wear a mask and limitations on the number of people in the building will be maintained. The meeting may be viewed on Comcast Channel 9, TDS Channel 6, and live stream from the city's website on YouTube at http://tiny.cc.mcjyt. Public comments on any agenda items or general comments can also be made electronically via the city's website at http://www.mountjulietcitytn.iqm2.com/citizens, or simply by emailing jill.johnson@mountjuliet-tn.gov, or also by calling at 615-754-2552 by 2 p.m. on the date of the Planning Commission meeting, and so that being April 15th today. We will begin our meeting by setting our agenda tonight. I am not aware of any changes, amendments, movements. With that, we'll set the agenda as stated. Begin our meeting with our staff reports, and Ms. Hamlin.
Thanks. You stole my words from me. It's nice to see all the citizens out here tonight getting involved in their community. And he would never want me to make a fuss over him, but many of you may not remember Mr. Bob Daniel. He was on the Planning Commission and sat in your chair for many years and flipped sides on us and became a consultant for the city working with our planning team. So I just wanted to give him a warm welcome tonight.
Yeah.
I'd also, he put in many hours into volunteering for the city too. So it's nice to see him here. I also want to just take a minute to recognize all the work that's happened since our flood, and especially thank everybody that helped clean up. I mean, every department for the city was represented on that cleanup, and Andy's team has road repairs already completed, and just extra kudos to them. Thank you.
Ma'am. Thank you. Mr. Barlow, anything you guys?
Nothing tonight.
Nothing from our Public Works Department tonight. With that being said, we will move forward on our agenda. This time we will take citizen comments. The public is welcome and encouraged to make public comment about any item on our agenda. There will be 2 opportunities for you to make comments. You may speak now, or you may speak when the item is presented to the Planning Commission. We do ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. And at this time, anyone wishes to address the Planning Commission is welcome and encouraged to do so. Please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments at this time, we will move forward with our first item on the agenda. First item on the agenda is the item 2.1, the Planning Commission regular meeting minutes from March 18th of 2021. Any changes, amendments, typos? Seeing none, I'll call for citizen comments on that item on the agenda. Got a motion?
Second.
And a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? So approved. Next item on our agenda is falls underneath our consent agenda. We'll begin with item 3.1, which is to review the final plat for Nichols Vale, Phase 6B, located at Watermark Way. Item 3.2, review the final plat for Oak Hall, Phase 4, located at Oak Hall Drive. Item 3.3, review the Wilson County rezone request for 8999 Lebanon Road. Item 3.4, which is a recommendation item back to the Wilson County Planning Commission, I believe.
County Commission.
In the Wilson County Commission. Item 3.4 is a recommendation item back to the Wilson County Commission. It's to review the rezone request for the Powell McCluskey property located at Lebanon Road. Item 3.5, review the site plan for Beckwith Farms, Lot 9, located at Volunteer Boulevard. Item 3.6, review the final master development plan for Waterford Park, located at South Rutland Road. Item 3.7, review the final master development plan and site plan for the Wash and Roll Office Building, located at 12800 Lebanon Road. And item 3.8, review the final master development plan for the medical office building located at 77 Providence Trail. Ms. Hamlin.
Thank you. I just have a couple of comments. The first one is for item 3.3, which is the rezone request for the county 8999 Lebanon Road. The county commissioner for this district, Mr. Bernard, has been working with the applicant and I believe maybe reached out to Ms. Weathers about amending their application to request limited office commercial rather than the C1. And the applicant or the applicant's representative are here tonight and agree with that. So it would be a recommendation for limited office commercial, which is actually more restrictive than the C1 and still falls within our land use designation. So staff would support that request for LOC. And then for item 3.6 is the Waterford Park. I have been asked by a resident to make sure that it's noted that the entrance, the construction entrance for the eastern portion of this development be accessed through Access Street 3 Road F. If you can add that to your conditions, construction entrance will be Access Street 3 Road F for phase 3 and 4.
So,
Otherwise, staff recommends approval or positive recommendation with conditions listed.
very well.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments from the commission? Commissioner Rash?
Item 3.8, it says Providence Trail. It's actually Belinda Parkway.
Very well. Any questions or comments? Any comments from Public Works about any items? Very good. No additional comments from Public Works. This time we'll call for citizen comments in regards to any of the items on our consent agenda. Seeing no citizen comments in regards to the items on our consent agenda, we'll be closing our Planning Commission meeting in order to open a public hearing. Public hearing is in regards to item 3.1, which is to review the final plat for Nichols Vale, Phase 6B, located at Watermark Way. Also, item 3.2, to review the final plat for Oak Hall Phase 4, located at Oak Hall Drive. Anyone wishing to make comment during the public hearing is welcome and encouraged to do so. And please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments, we'll close our public hearing and reopen our Planning Commission meeting, at which time I am looking for a recommendation in regards to the items on our consent agenda. I'll make a motion to approve subject to staff comments and with the additional comment on 3.6, the construction entrance through Street 3, Road F, and the change on the rezone request for that. That's right, for the limited office commercial. That is correct. It's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? So approved. Next item up on our agenda is a recommendation item back to the Board of Commissioners. It falls underneath the preliminary master development plan. It's review the preliminary master development plan rezone for Golden Bear Commercial located at 10,000 Lebanon Road.
Thank you. You did say some of the stuff I was going to say. This is a gas station convenience store, and it's also 2 lease spaces. The entire size of the building is about 9,600 square feet, 5,000 of which is for the convenience store, and then the 2 lease spaces are about 2,000 square feet. This is currently zoned CRC. And they're going to continue forward with CRC with the PUD overlay. And that's the recommendation item back to the BOC here. Probably really the biggest issue with this is at this particular location and this particular zoning, or I shouldn't say location, but the zoning, you are allowed 4 pumps. They are requesting 8 pumps. hence the reason for the PUD overlay, for the waiver you may or may not grant them. So the zoning will go forward as CRC PUD with the request for 8 pumps rather than 4. Staff does support the 8 pumps in this location because if this were to be zoned CI or CG or CMU in this particular location, they would be allowed to do 8 pumps because the commercial supplemental regs do allow additional pumps for certain areas, and this intersection is one if you're one of those other zoning districts. The other issue here, major issue, is the drive-through bypass lane is not provided. It's actually not in the conditions, so we need to add it tonight, that be, revised. So those are the 2 big items with this. We have met with them, throughout the process, obviously, and they've responded to many of the requests. This is early on. It's just a recommendation back to the BOC right now. So the conditions you see are fairly minor, and they can be addressed, as it moves forward, FMDP and site plan. I just would like to make sure that we add an additional condition that the 12-foot wide drive-through bypass lane be included in that. So it'd be maybe number 16 on our list of conditions. But correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's the big planning related items with this particular one. Thank you. We are recommending approval or forwarding it with a positive recommendation for approval to the Board of Commissioners with the conditions listed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. As far as Public Works comments on this plan, we have everything listed out, so no changes to that. However, I did want to explain a little bit about Lebanon Road here and eventually Golden Bear at this intersection. Today, this intersection is basically 1 lane each way with some turn lanes, left turn lanes. No dedicated right turn lanes as it stands today, except maybe a small one there at Bender's Ferry. We are currently working with Tdot on widening of Lebanon Road. That widening is going to be hopefully getting into right-of-way stage with Tdot. It's up to them, but hopefully within the next fiscal year. And I expect that process to probably take a couple of years. There's some significant right-of-way impacts on this project, so it could be a little tricky. Having said that, this is an Improve Act project, which if you're not familiar with that, as state law, our gas taxes went up a few years ago. As a result, there's a list of projects that was part of that act, part of that law, that are to be built, and this is one of them. So by law, it's to be built. As it is, we're going through the city of Mount Juliet has contracted with a consulting firm. We're working on the design for that, providing that to Tdot. We are in the process of nearing the right-of-way set of plans, which gets us to a place where we know kind of whatever our impacts are going to be to right-of-way. Also begin to get a preliminary estimate on this as well. And so we've gone through the process with the applicant on this one. You'll note on here that they have agreed to dedicate right-of-way that actually matches what the future right-of-way lines would be. So kudos to them on that, and trying to set up the sidewalk at the back of the right-of-way there, or the 10-foot path there in those locations that will hopefully line up well with the construction. So having said that, the future configuration there at Lebanon Road, you're going to have 2 through lanes in each direction on Lebanon Road. Eventually, Golden Bear will be a 5-lane facility as well. You're going to have turn lanes. You're going to have double left turn lanes from Golden Bear turning onto Lebanon Road. You also have double left turn lanes coming from Lebanon Road, like if you're coming from West Elementary to head south to head toward Mount Juliet High School. And so you can see this this proposed use is going to be at a very busy intersection in the future. So as a result, probably our biggest concerns here are, in particular, the access, I would say, on Lebanon Road. It's a higher volume facility as it stands right now, about 20,000 cars a day out there today. I think you can easily see that increasing as time moves on. That's steadily increasing year by year. Plus, that is a major arterial roadway. It's not just a state route, it's also a federal route as well. And so one of the big concerns we've had has been around access. Ultimately, our ultimate desire from an access management standpoint is that this development that you see here could eventually connect, and actually they do show those connections, to the property to the west. And actually there's two properties to the west, same owner on both properties. So we anticipate once the road widening begins to happen that you're going to end up seeing some more energy out here and a lot more development to come. And so think of this project not just as what you see on this paper today, but think of how this is going to fit with future developments as it comes along, which really kind of gets to our recommendation on Public Works comment number 4. We've talked about the access with the applicant. Ultimately, I think when we think about how this would look in the future, you talk about Lebanon Road being widened, Golden Bear being widened, and developments to the west and south of this. You'll notice there is future commercial development on this parcel as well. So we think about that, consider that we're going to have further access points on this. And so the idea there is we understand the needs from a development standpoint for access, especially ingress to a site. And movement from Lebanon Road, having a right in there would be very beneficial. Plus, if you think about the safety movements that you have, a right turn into a site would be the safest. That right turn, the access point on Lebanon Road, as shown, is actually in a right turn lane area. So this could be designed with that in mind, potentially, at least with a right in, that right turn lane, if it was approved. The roadway project itself could be designed to extend that right turn, and you could have a dedicated right turn for this access as well as going to Golden Bear Gateway. So it's very similar to the CVS, the old CVS building up here at the corner of Mount Juliet Road and Lebanon Road. Their access is actually in the right turn lane. But with that, we do want to preserve safety of the corridor, which is why we do not recommend the right out, especially. And so our concern there is it might function well today, but when the road gets widened, I can see you're going to have a right turn lane, 2 through lanes, and then a channelized area, and then a left turn lane. So essentially, they're going to have to go across 48, 50 plus feet of pavement to take a left. I can see that being a very prominent movement for people who live up on Benner's Ferry, Silver Springs area, to take that movement in the future. There's our concerns for the ride out. We ultimately, our full desire would be for the ride in only today be conditional. And when we have further development in the future, that development would then go in, the access would be reconfigured. You'd have a full access point further to the west that would be further away from the intersection with Golden Bear. So thinking about that big picture, just want to kind of give you that idea of it. Sorry to be long-winded. But other than that, we did have the only other improvement we had here was the northbound right turn lane. Looking at the analysis on Golden Bear, looking at looking at the analysis, and if you drive out there anytime, especially school time, the left turn lane there's all the way past that entrance where their proposed entrance is. So that's just to try to help facilitate that, so we're not blocking traffic when to get elsewhere. Other than that, no further comments on this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the commission?
I got a couple.
Commissioner Heffer?
Concern about this being a cut through. I don't see any. I'd like to see maybe some calming devices, speed calming devices, speed bumps, if at all possible. And I would use I defer to you as far as recommendation and placement on those calming devices. And although I'm not an engineer, I will disagree with Andy on the right out. And as far as it being temporary, I can't see not having an entrance into this commercial property off of Lebanon Road. I just don't see that going away. What you'll end up having is you'll have, when that property is developed, you'll end up turning that parking lot into a roadway for people wanting to get into that gas station and those two, what could be fast food restaurants. So a lot of traffic's going to be coming in here off of Lebanon Road. That's a major thoroughfare. So I would like to propose that this is a permanent right in, right out, and not a temporary right in. Those are my only two comments.
Any questions, comments? One question for you, actually, Mr. Barlow, is, so we talked about the potential for the property to the west to develop out, and our stub is right there in between the building and the pumps. If I probably have not looked at any kind of conceptual design for the development of the property over there, but it just seems to me that it would be more logical for that cross access to be to the south and not right there where the dumpster drive aisle is and the parking right there. That would be a more sensible access point in the future and not have that cross access right there, because I think you mentioned the Mapco and McDonald's right there, or the Mapco and McDonald's that we have up here at Lebanon Road and Mount Juliet Road, where they have that kind of a cross access between the two of them. And it's a little scary at times right there, and would rather not duplicate what has been over there.
There is actually two separate access easements shown. It's in both both locations. So there is one shown there next to the dumpster pad. And yes, that would be, I mean, if we're looking at cross connectivity, the best ideas are the ones we consider like a spine road. It's on the back. Think like Red Lobster in there, Chick-fil-A, Kroger pumps. You want it because you get it away from the access points.
If we have common access and planning open the comment where we need the additional drive aisle, or for the drive through, I guess that's going to be on the south side of the property. I was just thinking that if that property is going to develop to the west, maybe it's better for that road, for the north to south road on the west side of the building over there next to Tenant 1, to be on or at that property line right there. I mean, where they're kind of sharing that as a drive aisle.
I think that's reasonable. Yes. It would give you some more development room for storage for your drive through.
Yeah, it would help that. And then you could actually move your right in, right out access right there over, as Commissioner Hefner was saying, if it sticks and we keep it as a right in, right out, then you get that accessibility where they both share. And then if that becomes the only access to these two pieces of property off of Lebanon Road, then it begins to make all kinds of sense at that point in time, because then it creates sort of a three-way stop as you enter into the site. And then you can either go west to what's happening on that parcel, or you can go east to what's happening here on this parcel.
Mm-hmm.
I guess
Yes.
I need to ask for representation, don't I?
Yeah.
Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. Joe Haddix, Civil Site Design Group, 2305 Klein Avenue. To my knowledge, I'm not sure that our developer has had a chance to speak with the adjacent property owner to the west. The current plan, as you will see, we have the driveway location as close to the property line as we can get it and still fit in all of our grading.
I thought they said there was common ownership between the two parcels.
The two to the west, the next two over.
Okay. What do you think? You're the engineer.
Yeah.
Would
So
it not be better to not have that cross access right there where you got the pedestrian traffic and everything between the building and the fuel pump?
well, to the cross access, I know it's been a mission of staff and this body to provide cross access on everywhere you can get it.
Yeah.
Looking at how that would develop, it brings you direct access from the adjacent parcel to the pump location. I know another position that staff and this body have maintained would be for multiple projects to locate the building as close to the front setback as possible, which with our northernmost access would not leave a whole lot of room. It would be kind of a skinny building to the west, but yet it still brings you access to the front of our building from what could be their parking lot, as opposed to having to loop all the way around the building. I would have to essentially cut the drive-through adjacent to the drive-through to come to the front, or go towards Golden Bear and come around the back side of the building. I mean, as far as cross access, at this point, don't see any harm with setting it up. If it's not needed in the future, it's not needed. It just gives you options down the road.
Yeah.
I don't think we're dictating that I don't think y'all ever have mandated that they would have to tie to that if we have it both spots. They're tying to the other one,
Okay.
especially if it didn't work with their site plan.
Okay.
And then to Commissioner Hefner's comment about the traffic calming devices, we're in full agreement. It's been a main topic of conversation with staff. Public Works and I have looked at an option that would take the access point to what Tdot minimum would be, which puts it about the 2/3 to halfway down the pump location. And both of us didn't agree that flowed real well, having that traffic enter onto the pump. So I think some kind of speed hump table, we can come up with something with final site plan. Planning had mentioned a need for a bypass lane on the drive-through. So our interpretation of the code reads that a bypass lane is needed if it's one-way traffic. Obviously, the drive-through is one-way traffic, but if on the west side of our building we have the drive-through lane signed as the drive-through, obviously we have two-way traffic. So that's kind of your out around having to enter into the drive-through lane. Also, with our grading, many of you are probably familiar with Slim Chickens right up the road. Their drive-through pavement's flush, kind of looks like a little island in between. You have the drive. We've done the same thing here, albeit we have parking adjacent to it. I know staff's concern was, what if somebody had a medical emergency while sitting in the drive-through? Our point is there should be a gap, I would imagine, somewhere in those parking spaces that they could just pull through to exit the drive-through lane if emergency ever warranted. Andy had mentioned that another big topic of ours had been the access to Lebanon Road. We're in agreement with Mr. Hefner's recommendation. My developer is telling me that access is going to be key and it needs to be permanent. Otherwise, their user's going to abandon the project. And then we would respectfully request, your consideration of eliminating any kind of improvement to Golden Bear. Understand staff's concern. They've also mentioned the improvements that are forthcoming at that intersection as part of the larger project. The traffic study we had commissioned did not recommend any offsite improvements. And I will leave you at that. Apart from the access, the turn lane improvement and the bypass lane, I believe we're in agreement with every other comment on the condition list. And as always, I thank staff for working with us on this project. It's been quite a road to get to this point.
Please, Commissioner Rice.
Joe, you've got this access on Golden Bear and future commercial development to the south. Is there any hint or idea to create another access from that future commercial development, or is it the idea to use that current access?
We've used the current access to Golden Bear to serve both.
Okay.
Please, Commissioner Cunningham, I'm sorry.
Comments too. One probably mostly directed for you. You could help me answer these. To build on that, to build on that question David had, is there a way, or have you thought about moving the access point on Golden Bear Gateway further south down and have that as the only access point? And the reason why I bring that up is that intersection, which I'm sure you're familiar with the traffic count there, that's a very difficult left-hand turn out of there. And that's the only way out of that gas station to go that direction if you want to get back to Lebanon Road and, head west, head east, or head west or go up Golden Bear. So has that been in your design here? Has that thought happened at all? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so we did look at that early on, especially when all we've done for the future area is just some red line sketches to see what may not be able to achieve. The driveway location does align with the church driveway on the east side. We're trying to keep those access points consistent. I understand the stacking concern. I don't think up until recently, as far as the location, staff's had any concern with the location other than maybe the potential for the stacking at the light. But it's something we could look at, obviously, as this moves forward.
Okay.
Just looking at the stacking build on that, from that point to the intersection, it's about 280 feet. And if you're going to develop a pair of left turn lanes, you got about 180 feet to queue vehicles up. That's about 18 cars. And if you've been there when school gets out, there's a heck of a lot more than 18 cars trying to make left turns. So that will kind of muck up the ability for someone to make that left turn out of this property. So, maybe a future consideration to move that excess further south to get further out of those left turn lanes.
For comparison, that would add about 180 feet.
Is there any plan for that additional dirt back there to the south of it?
Nothing that's been finalized, no, sir.
And I throw in my 2 cents about the right in, right out. I'm a strong believer in not allowing that right out movement just because of the conflict points that it'll create for people turning right to go down Golden Bear and the desire for people turning left to go further north.
Perfect. I'm just looking at your pumps. You already know my only regretful vote in my 15 years is in regards to allowing more pumps. And it's not necessarily the pumps, it's just the wideness of the canopy and the movement within the site that always concerns me when you get over there with trailers and stuff like that. And not necessarily your delivery guys with the trailers and trucks, but the guys are going to come with mower trailers and machine trailers, and it's just a lot of activity in there. I wish that we could find a way to do 8 pumps, but stack them instead of spread them.
So we did look at an option like that early on. Andy had noted that we are showing, a future possible right of way for the 70 project. So we tried to pull everything and honor that future right of way line, honor that. the double stack scenario pushes our parking right up to the future right-of-way line. We felt like this probably allowed us a little bit more ample room for some screening along 70. I think Jennifer mentioned the architect we're going with a brick facade on the canopy.
Yeah.
So it's very nice and appealing looking.
Yeah, the building looks nice. I mean, no issues with the building or the canopy per se. It's just the movement when it gets busy and it gets tight. And then if we're going to have 3 tenants there that include a convenience store.
We could certainly go a little bit wider on our drive lane in front of the store, either in front and behind the pumps. Right now we're at the standard 26. Maybe go to 30 on each. And that's even though we are now moving towards 70 slightly, it still gives us some good room for buffering.
I think that'd be good. So 30-foot drive aisles between on each side. Is what you think you could do, Joe?
Yes.
How would you get, and piggybacking Commissioner Hefner's comment, how would you piggyback a traffic calming and cross access for the 20 spaces or 18 spaces, I guess, that we're going to have over there to the north side of the lot to get them into these buildings?
So
I mean, where would you, I've been trying to sketch, some crosswalks or something else, but my crosswalks either take me through a pump or don't line up, I guess, properly.
Right.
Where I could safely get that, I don't know whether or not it's a internal sidewalk or a speed hump with the cross access on it, a painted drive or.
Yeah, for the north-south movement, you're probably looking at the first, what would be the southern end of the pumps, something there, right? Because you want those vehicles to get in off of 70 before we artificially slow them down.
Yep.
And then we're probably doing some channelization striping as you come into the parking lot to prevent somebody on that right in and the right out movement to force them to the west and keep them away from cutting that corner, which would let them zip right through the parking lot.
This would be unique, but what if you push to the front, flip the pumps to the back? If you push your building to the front, put your pumps in the back.
Yeah, we've looked at that option, and the user, the ultimate end user for the product has got to have the pumps out front.
Yeah, we're not going to take any signage from them. That would work out really well for your access points, for your future access points to the property to the west. So if we push it to the front, it didn't pass, or they're just going to bail on it. I bet somebody would buy that. Because that is going to be a fantastic location. Further questions or comments? Sorry, I'm up here chit-chatting.
Just want to make one more clarification on the right out. So what I heard earlier is we got stacking problems coming out onto Golden Bear, approaching 70. So if we remove that right out, that means the only exit coming out of this place, which is going to have a constant flow of traffic due to the 2 convenience stores, is going to be one exit, which I just heard at times is difficult to make a left-hand turn. So I just want to point that out, that if I heard that correctly. So there's going to be a point in time where there's nobody leaving if they need to go left north on Golden Bear. So they'd be forced to turn south on the Golden Bear Parkway, which to me doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's just me. Again, that would be my only concern. And then also compounded by the fact that we have a stacking issue.
Would it be a good compromise to have the right in be permanent, but the right out conditional, basically upon further access that you might have from connections to other developments? Maybe that's a good solution, that we can allow 2 egress points today. I promise you, I talked to the guy that owns the 2 properties to the left. Basically, he's waiting for the road project to get going, and then he's waiting for his property values to go up, which is a smart move. You're going to see a lot more developments as the road project comes. I wonder if it might be overall that might give us a good plan. Like I say, we could design the right turn lane for Lebanon Road there to encompass this area with this access. Makes a nice, safe access in permanently. You get further connectivity access out in the future. The idea here is that you'll have a full access. You go 2 properties to the west, you'll have full access. Or you can take a left or right, whichever way you want to go. You can head back to Mount Juliet Road if you want to. And so with that, you'll have 2 really good access points on that. The other thing I will say on the one on Golden Bear Gateway, if that was amenable to move that to the southern boundary of the property, I mean, absolutely. The further we can get away from the main intersection points, always the better. And I was looking at, I did my own analysis of the signal itself based on the volumes and information presented in the traffic study. So I'm going to do my own analysis there and see what happened. In the PM condition, you've got, and this is not school time. This is just regular PM. This take out school traffic, which can be worse. You've got 300 feet plus of stacking for the left turn and the through right turn. Both of those block this access point. So the central part of this access point is about 270 feet. So you got that plus an additional 30. And so that's from the stop bar back to the central point of this. So definitely, absolutely, any times that we can, the good access policy is move it as far as you can away from the intersection.
Could you help me to understand? You mentioned about in the future having this temporary right now, temporary, then basically closing that off in the future.
Right.
Just help me to understand what the benefit is in the future of that going away at some point and eliminating an egress point.
Yeah, that's a good question. The idea is that let's assume you have properties around you developed, you've got connections to, you can get out other ways. The idea is to say, okay, with the road widened, we want to try to eliminate that dangerous movement that a lot of people are going to make, where they're going to take a right out of here and they're going to want to go up and take a left turn. And so they're cutting across at least 3 lanes of traffic to get there. And that's a lot of, as Dave mentioned, a lot of conflict points. Every time you cross the lane, that's another conflict point. And it's really dangerous. It's okay if you have just 1 through lane, but sometimes you can have 2 through lanes, and it's just not like down here at the interstate. We see dangerous crashes all the time where people coming in and coming out where they're wanting to cross 2 lanes of traffic. It's not the 1 lane that's a problem. It's people are backed up in that 1 lane. They can't see, they pull out, and they get tagged by somebody driving through in the other lane. So I'm just thinking about kind of future build out with the road as itself. It's worse in a situation where you got those 2 through lanes than it would be like as it's configured today.
Got it.
If I may, question would be if the access to Golden Bear moved to the south end of the property, would the recommendation for the Golden Bear widening be eliminated?
I think my concerns as far as Q spillback would really go, really be greatly reduced. you know, it's one of those, I think we could, you know, you're going to end up with future development opportunities here. That's one of those that we look at the volumes, and then if this gets built out here today, we have other development. Obviously you've got enough land out here to build you some more commercial space. And when that comes in, depending on what it is, we don't know what the user will be. That one may be the catalyst for that left turn. You know, who knows? We could have the Golden Bear Gateway widening completed by that time. So I think that's definitely a good compromise as far as alleviating those left turn concerns. I mean, left turn lane is always safer. I'll never drop that or never say, yeah, let's not do a left turn lane. But it would reduce those concerns specifically from the stacking.
What was your recommendation again?
The question was about, so as far as the Golden Bear access, the way I understand it would be potentially keep it as shown on the plan before you, but that would include widening Golden Bear to provide additional storage in the northbound left. Or access point is moved to the south end of the property with no widening on Golden Bear with this particular project. And I think both of those options are both in conjunction with each other, are agreeable to us. Obviously, I like to have options moving forward to final site plan. And it sounds like Public Works would be essentially in agreement with their current comment, but we also give a second option to move the access point.
So I'm looking at it on my map. Does anybody know if the church owns that property to the south of them? There's an undeveloped parcel right there just south of Silver Springs Baptist. You know who owns that? It's not marked on your. Okay. Further questions or comments? Let's go, Rebecca, please.
I want to say, Joe, my biggest concern with this is since we don't know really a timetable for the widening, it's just like a project that was a little bit further to the east a couple of years ago that was trying to come in there at Curd Road in Lebanon. My concern is right now with that being 2 lanes is that traffic backup without having anything there as far as in the minute. I think this is a great plan. I think it's a great piece of property, just like Luke said, but potentially this is really bad. I mean, in the evenings, especially on the weekends, you can have traffic backed up from Golden Bear all the way to Mount Juliet Road. And so it's not so much a question as a comment to me that it really does concern me. Not only that, and having teenagers that are going to frequent this a lot, I can see a lot of them trying to turn, where they shouldn't. So, and I guess one question would be when it is widened, maybe I'm missing it on this. How far back is that going to bring the property line for you guys?
It is actually shown, if you can see our sidewalk along Lebanon Road and Golden Bear.
Right.
The heavy black line on the site interiors,
okay.
that is the
assumed,
proposed. That's correct. Okay. Yep, you were correct. I think in conjunction with staff, if and when this project moves to final site plan, we can come up with, a good set of traffic calming devices to help prevent the cut through traffic to address your concern. I mean, it's very similar to what we look at for school projects. And
Further questions, comments?
Are you agreeable to the conditional right out with a permanent right in?
again, my developer's not here tonight. We have talked about that scenario. I would think so, but I can't speak for him. Yeah, as much as I want to say yes, I can't speak for him. If you could give me a 30-second recess,
This time, let's go ahead and call for citizen comments. Any citizens wishing to make comment in regards to this item on our agenda are welcome and encouraged to do so. And please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, please. Please.
Prior to citizen comments,
Yeah.
I did want to clarify ownership of the parcel south of Silver Springs. That is not owned by the church.
Andy, did you happen to see what that is on our land use plan? I can't remember whether or not we carried up Golden Bear as we came through there.
It is designated as thoroughfare commercial.
Very well. Please.
the developer would be in agreement with a permanent right in, conditional right out.
Thank you. So I'm just trying to think that begins to make, I see the alignment there with Silver Springs Church there on Golden Bear. But if there's no true quote unquote plan for the future commercial development to the south of them, and there's potential to move that entrance up there to a property on our land use plan that is not owned by the church, but is designated as thoroughfare commercial, could equally solve multiple problems and potentially put two commercial uses with aligned access points as well. So that begins to make sense, not only right there, but move that entrance off of or further away from Lebanon Road as well. How would that, and have you looked at that, Mr. Barlow, if they push that? I mean, how would that be designed, or is that something that we can just make a recommendation to move it to the south of the property? I mean, should it press forward and then you guys figure that out and then we see it at final master development plan, and at that time we'll have an opportunity to adjust it at this body or obviously the Board of Commissioners?
Yeah, probably what I'd recommend is push it to the farthest southern boundary. In my opinion, that would give them, that would maximize their development area for that remaining piece that they're looking to do in the future. In addition, think about this, what it's going to do is it will set that location for the property across the street.
Yep.
Basically, so you would be setting it not just for this project, but for that parcel if and when it develops.
Sure. Seems smart.
Yeah.
Very well. Further questions or comments from the commission? Please, Commissioner Searcy.
Right in and right out. That's going to be here on the south property with the new route.
No,
Is
they
there
would
gonna be
just
a right in, right out permanent there.
on the Golden Bear.
Uh-huh.
No, that the entrance, my understanding is that entrance that we see with the right out, left out, and the one way in would just move all the way down to their southernmost access point. So move it further away from the intersection of Lebanon Road and Golden Bear.
Okay, but it won't be a right in, right out.
No, sir.
Okay,
Be a full access point, just as shown here.
okay.
Further questions, comments? I'd like to ask for a motion in regards to this item on our agenda. Actually, a recommendation in regards to this item on our agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve with the comments and the right in, permanent right in, right out, the speed bumps, or berms, or whatever you want to call them. I don't know what you call them. What else? Do we have something?
Drive-through, or do you want the drive-through bypass lane, or are you okay without it?
I'm okay with it.
Okay. And then moving that access point to the southernmost corner?
Yes.
Very well.
I think there was one comment, I think he said permanent right in, right out, it's conditional right out.
The conditional where it goes away when the property to the west development?
Okay.
Is that okay?
That's good.
Very well. And okay with the variance for the 8 pumps?
Yes.
We'll second your motion.
Okay.
That gives us, did you catch that, Jill? You got all that? All right. That gives us a motion and a second for a positive recommendation, subject to staff comments, subject to Mr. Searcy's recommendation. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? It is a positive recommendation. All right, the next item on our agenda falls underneath land use amendment, preliminary master development plan and rezone. So it is item 5.1, which is to review the land use plan amendment for the Pleasant Grove Road Townhomes located at Pleasant Grove Road. Is that right? My
That's
agenda
correct.
cuts that off.
That's correct.
Yeah, located at Pleasant Grove Road. So as a reminder to everyone that at this point in time, we are only discussing the land use plan amendment and not the preliminary master development plan, although that will follow on this agenda. So right now is the land use plan amendment. Make a decision of whether or not we choose to do so. And so I will turn it over to Ms. Hamlin.
Thank you. As you stated, this property is located just on the west side of Walmart, and it was originally part of the Thurman property that was part of the Paddocks development, but was removed from that PUD boundary to provide a little buffer for the surrounding property owners. In fact, some of the area directly behind Lowe's is deed restricted from development, and then there's a conservation area that splits that as well that cannot be developed. It is my job as your city planner to follow the land use plan that you guys have adopted and approved, and therefore staff does not recommend approval for this land use amendment to multifamily. Thank you.
Questions or comments from the commission? Commissioner Hefner?
So this sits in my district. I've heard from several of my constituents on Catalpa Drive. I do support staff's recommendation to deny this request.
Commissioner Cunningham?
I feel the same. I've looked over this development and I don't see any reason that benefits the majority of the citizens of Mount Juliet to amend this to agree to change the current use of it. And I support both their comments.
There are obviously more people in the hallway.
You don't want to.
Just to let y'all know that we hear that as well. Further questions or comments? Once again, we're talking about the land use plan amendment only. All right. With that being said, we will call for citizen comments in regards to the land use plan amendment only. Any citizens wishing to make comment in regards to this item on the agenda, we're welcome and encouraged to do so. Please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record.
Sir, could you repeat that again, please?
We are opening the floor for citizen comments. For anyone wishing to make comment during this, the land use plan amendment only. So we're not hearing the preliminary master development plan. The preliminary master development plan would be where we would discuss the plan location as we just went through on the previous item on the agenda. Right now, we're just trying to make a decision whether or not we should amend the land use plan that would allow the preliminary master development plan to be heard. Good question.
Can I speak?
Please. Name and address for the record.
My name is, excuse me. My name is Sonny Griffin. I live at 1409 Fairview Drive. My property backs up to the Paddocks development. I'm one of the 5 tracks that's included. Excuse me.
Take the microphone a little bit closer so we can make
Sorry,
sure we
sir.
get you
better?
on there and everybody can hear you.
Okay. My property backs up to the original Paddocks development, and I executed a document doing the Paddocks planning with the developer that restricts that land to grass use for until 2049, I believe it is. So there's a little bit over 14 acres there that is under covenant till 2049. And I will say that I've lived there. I've lived within 200, 300 yards of that property for 43 years. And I knew the original owners really well, and I've hunted on that property. When I made that covenant, I knew the property very well, and I thought I had covered all the land that any developer would be interested in. And the land that is being talked about being developed is really, really bad lands. I just can't put it any other way. It's a ravine. If you would put a string across, that's the only terms I know to make a level. If you would put a string across from Catawba all the way to Walmart and measure straight down from that string, that blue line stream down there would be about 50 feet. So if you notice the site plan, I'm sure you've looked at it, the contour lines are stacked right on top of each other. And they don't lie. Believe me, I've been up those slopes. If they're, I understand that 20% is basically what a PUD allows. They're worse than that. And I just had a couple of questions on the site plan. Have I got time to do that?
Let's just talk about the land use plan only.
Land plan only. Okay.
Should it get to the site plan, then absolutely.
One thing I would really like to know, if it's possible, is I can't determine where the PUD boundaries are. And there's several boundaries listed, but I don't know the terms. PUD boundary is not on the site plan, so I can't determine what it encompasses. And the roads into it, the dedicated lane into it, if you go to the back of the dealership, you're looking at that border right there. It's shown. It would be the southern border of this proposed development. I don't understand how that road can enter that property without a grade that's just, it goes straight down right there. And am I talking what I should be talking, or I'm not real sure what I'm supposed to be talking about.
Well, right now it's just about whether or not you feel this is the right use for the property or not.
No, sir, I definitely do not. And I think that anybody, I just challenge anybody to walk that property and look at it reasonably and say that's developable property. It is not.
Thank
That's
you.
about all I've got to say. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I can remember, I want to just make a comment on Mr. Griffin right here. I can remember, I became a member of this planning commission on the heels of the starting of Providence and the beginning of the start of the paddocks. And Mr. Griffin was very active over there. And so I remember his comments, questions, concerns, and everything as we developed out paddocks, and paddocks eventually being what it is over there. And I do hope that it's pleasing for them, because we did make a strong concerted effort in order to really improve on what we learned as Providence developed, and then we developed paddocks, and particularly the buffers, and how putting that type of a use adjacent to existing residential properties, and being mindful and concerned with what goes on over there, because I call it actually separates I think Lowe's to Mr. Griffin's property is, I call it the Great Wall of Mount Juliet, but they're grading pushed up that hill, and then we put this massive fence on top of it, and then we put plants and trees galore, and so you can see now that they're all filled in. But just that comment that it's good to see you, Mr. Griffin, and we appreciate everything during that time as well, and that's probably been now 10, 12 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. Thank you.
We certainly appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir. Name and address for the record. Sorry.
Yes, sir. My name is Chris Rediker. I live at 503 Sycamore Drive. So I border the entire west side of this potential rezoned area. And I'm against rezoning this. At most, I would consider single family homes, but that would be at most, because the type of people that move into a high density area that are willing to pull into a drive that is between Walmart and a dealership have a different philosophy of use for their land than I do. And this entire subdivision, whenever we built and bought in that area, we built and bought for larger yards and to not have people living on top of us. So I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you.
Dennis Buchanan, 58 Hatcher Road. Been here a long time.
Yes,
Good
sir.
to see you.
Yes, sir.
We know that the Central Pike Interchange is coming. And we do know that that's going to be opened up all the way over there. And I'm sorry, but it's coming. And it's on you guys. But so was Old Lebanon Dirt Road. It's like an interstate for me now. So what can we do as Mount Juliet to help someone that has been in our city for a long time, that's bringing tax dollars to our town? They just allotted $300,000 at the commission meeting off of the hotel motel tax, and it wasn't for these developers, we wouldn't have that. We as a city don't have enough money. Well, right off the bat, off the impact fees, you're going to get over $2 million. $700 and some odd thousand a year just off of property tax. Now, these homes are not for rent, they're for sale. And it's a totally different clientele that buys one of these than it does than rent one. Thank you.
Sonny Cruz, 116 Catawba Drive. I've been there 48 years. Rode through a tornado. And talking about developing that is something I never dreamed I would ever hear or say, because Sonny Tillman's exactly right. If you walk that property, which I have been on many, many times, it's just straight down. And, you know, another thing too, we have a lot of you families just moved in up there by where you're looking at the next agenda of Sycamore to drive through. Little kids in the street, people walking down through there, and you thinking about bringing that much traffic. My goodness. You know, I just hope that y'all will consider if that was in your backyard. Consider that. And you know, I'm not against development, my goodness. But let's do the right kind. Let's don't impose on 50, 55 our families, and so forth. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Clifford Wilkin, 1411 Fairview Drive. And I just want to go on record as being opposed to this particular item. For all the reasons that everybody else has said, it's just not the right thing to do in this area, in this neighborhood, and for our city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kathy Pearson. I'm at 500 Sycamore Drive. I just want to clarify, or just clarification for all of us that are cheering and excited, because the last time we were in the room and something was voted against in our neighborhood, it actually was something that opened up a whole new ballgame. We had no idea. So I'm just making sure that we're excited that our city staff does not want this, as we do not want this developed right now. We use our streets to walk on, and don't really want all that extra traffic. So I just wanted to make sure that I'm hearing what I'm hearing is that most of our people here, our commissioners and our staff people, are saying we don't want to develop this land to a multifamily area. We want to leave it as single family. That's what I'm asking.
Thank you. Any additional citizen comments?
Robert Mullins, 207 Maple Lane. I've lived there for over 25 years. And as the city has grown and moved on and gotten closer to us, we've made agreements on the buffer zones around us to keep us safe. And we made deals. And on one side, they made a buffer zone of 100 feet for the neighborhood moving, and then they changed it to 10 feet. And now we're over here on this side, and you're trying to take this buffer zone that we agreed to and that we have to keep our community the way it is, and we're trying to make a profit and grow and get more tax money and all of that. But I want to hopefully hope that you guys are protecting us citizens from getting too big and our growth getting so large that we lose our way of life. So thank you.
Thank you.
She's not as, I got my mask.
Yeah. All right. See no additional citizen comments at this time. I will ask for a motion in regards to this item on our agenda.
Motion to deny.
Oh, just snuck it in for you right there. Just beat you. I've got a motion and a second. Something you wish to add?
Mr. Chairman, the applicant not get to speak on this?
About the land use plan?
Yes, sir.
The applicant can speak at any time. I called citizen comments.
Okay, we're the applicant, we're not the citizen comment. I just usually have an applicant session, just curious if we get to speak or not.
Yeah, just any time that you guys want to speak. We got a motion and a second. We're going to keep the motion and the second on the floor.
Okay, is it okay to speak?
Yeah,
sure. Thank you. So Kevin Gangwer, 2305 Klein Avenue. Just wanted to, we've heard all the comments from the citizens. We appreciate the staff's recommendations and the citizens' comments. Just wanted to make sure that I guess the commission was clear and understood that the land use plan currently is interstate commercial for this. And so our request to make this multifamily is actually a reduction in the land use plan as far as density, not an increase. So right now it's interstate commercial. I suppose if someone wanted to come through and do something commercial rezone on this, then I think staff would support that because it matches the land use plan currently. So we were hoping that we could get through the land use plan amendment and let this project stand on its merits or not related to the project itself, and not so much get stuck and stopped on the land use portion of that. So thank you. I just wanted to make sure to say that.
Sure. Thank you. Have a motion, and a second on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? It is disapproved.
No.
Yeah, with that being said, if I am correct, without the approval of the land use plan, the preliminary master development plan can't even be heard. That is correct. Is that correct, Mr. Michaels? Very well. That removes item 5.2. Before we get into election season, we're going to allow some of the folks that were here for that right there to exit, and we'll get this election started. Anybody have campaign buttons, signs? Yeah, anything? All right, it's not too bad. As you all know, this is the time of year in which that we elect our chairperson and vice chairperson. The best way that we do this is traditionally to elect the chairperson for the next year first, and then move to the vice chair nominations. So with that being said, I will now open the floor for nominations for chairman of the Mount Juliet Municipal and Regional Planning Commission. Second and third. There's a nomination for Luke Winchester. Any other nominations? Man, I like running unopposed. No. All right, we'll close the floor for nominations. All those in favor of Luke Winchester as your chairman of the Mount Juliet Municipal Regional Planning Commission, raise your hand and say aye. Against? Abstentions? Congratulations, Luke Winchester. Thank you, guys.
Person?
Yes, exactly. Luke is over here doing this. Luke is running the meeting. Yeah, that would be.
Luke's gonna speak now.
That reminds me of a classic Seinfeld episode. George is getting angry. It's a great episode, by the way. Thank you, guys. I will say this before we open the floor, and it's important to go into the vice chair position right here. It is an honor. I am I guess, as close to life as I can get. I got here in Mount Juliet in '82, coming in second grade when came out of the Bonnas, and my mother didn't want me to get bused downtown and where I used to walk to school, and moved into Belinda City where I grew up, and so still Belinda City. Even though a lot of people would call it Providence, it's still Belinda City, but that's where I came from. So it is it's an honor to sit on this body, no matter what capacity that it is. And it's even more of an honor to be voted on by your peers up here. And so my gratitude and appreciation for that from you all. So thank you all. With that being said, as well, I want to say that I guess this will be my 6th or 7th year. 40th. Yeah, it feels like that. Or 6th or 7th year, I guess, as your planning commission chair in a row. Yeah, I kind of, and I still use the cheat sheet notes up here. And by the way, I developed this. Me and Mr. Camelli developed this together years ago when we were up here, just to give us a little cheat sheet and something easy. So with that being said, it would be my desire for whomever would be your vice chair for this body to have a strong desire to be its chair next year. That would be fantastic. I'm here for years. I keep saying maybe a short time. I'm always one of those that believes in only so long to do something and then move yourself out of the way and let other people come in here. So to help and to learn, but it would be, I would encourage, and don't hesitate to nominate yourself. I would say that as well. That's not something that is bad to do. If you run for political office, you're kind of nominating yourself in the first place. And so don't be hesitant if you have a desire to be the vice chair to raise your hand and nominate yourself. And that is within our rules and your ability to do so. So with that being said, I will now open the floor for nominations for vice chairman of the Mount Juliet Municipal Regional Planning Commission. Please.
To nominate David Rast.
Very well.
Second.
Additional nominations? See no. Yeah, yeah. You didn't have to spend on the campaign signs or buttons or anything. Seeing no further nominations this time, we'll cease nominations and we'll open the floor for all those in favor. Commissioner David Rast, as your vice chairman of the Mount Juliet Municipal Regional Planning Commission, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Against? Abstentions? It's okay. You saw I voted for myself. Yeah. Noted the abstention of humility and humbleness. Thank you guys and welcome. And you just saw my gratitude speech, so I will throw it back over there to you.
I just expect to have a very good teacher for the next year. If that excitement carries on to the next year, I will need that teacher to continue to be a part of this board in some fashion.
That would be.
I look forward to it.
That would be awesome. I scared Commissioner Hefner. He thought I was going to be a no-show here, and he's only been our vice chair for a month up here, and he was like, "Boy, perusing this up here." We look forward to it. It is it's an honor to be a part of this body as a appointed position. And what was told to me years ago when I first got here, and the reason why we're not elected and that we are appointed is because we're common people within the community, and it's our job up here to represent the citizens that live within the city of Mount Juliet and within its growth boundary as well. And that's the reason why we're a regional municipal planning commission as well. So I appreciate everybody's willingness. And with that, looking for a motion to adjourn. Motion? Second?
Gotcha.
I know exactly. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? We are adjourned.